able to dynamically assemble content, and that can give consumers a more relevant experience. It can allow consumers to see something that actually matters to them, rather than just something that matters to the entire world. And that becomes a way to become very personal. And as consumers, we love to be treated individually. I think as humans, we love to be treated individually.
The American Express example, it was awesome. I mean,
I'm still blown away.
Yeah, I'm sure it happens all the time.
Yeah,
but
I'm sure it does. And it was interesting to me to see my reaction versus my wife's, because I sort of had an appreciation for how much technology and planning must have gone on the back end.
Yeah.
To her, she just thought, oh, I like American Express more now.
Yeah.
And that's, as a product or company or a brand, that's what you're trying to do. You're just trying to make people like you more and understand you more and build those relationships. Interesting.
And you also managed the concept where you spoke about the concept of digital self, a persona. Yeah. I really like that because it simplifies a lot of things. It has that anthropological touch. And I would like if we can have a little recap from that.
Sure.
What you said.
Sure. So, I like to think of simple ways to describe concepts that can be complex. And to me, the digital self is something where if you look at how you interact in your life every day and how much of that is digital, how much time you spend online, and then what are you doing online? What sites do you visit? What content do you consume? Are you a sports guy? Or are you a business guy? Are you a general local news guy? That says something about you. And what products do you buy? What where do you get your news, et cetera, et cetera. That all sort of paints a picture of an individual. And as individuals, assuming that we have given permission to the company to use that data, we expect them to use that information to interact with our digital self. I expect a different experience now than I did 5 years ago. I'm older, my life is different, I have different needs, I have different wants.
From Amazon.
I get diapers from Amazon, and I still want the promotions for the 80s concerts.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want the One Direction promotion right now. I want my 80s bands.
That's amazing, and I think it's a big old challenge because marketing profile people, we like forecasting so much and obtaining average profiles of people, and we want to feel that we know consumers, but as a generic kind of thing. And I think this is a great challenge of people one by one.
And it can start. To your point about complexity, it can start simply. So as a site, I may be able to customize the experience just based on whether or not this is your first time to my site or your second time to my site.
Yeah.
Just simple things like that can start to make the experience feel more customized. It doesn't have to be 100% I know everything about you. It's a gradual process where I build the knowledge that I have about you.
Could you say less forecast, more measurement?
I would say the start is measurement, because we have to understand a baseline of what's going on, and that gives us information to use to start to forecast and optimize and predict.
Interesting. But forecasting without measurement is
that's
scientific.
It's not scientific. That's I would call that guessing.
Guessing. Yeah. And that never happens in marketing.
No.
Ever. Well, the other thing you spoke about was about you were saying digital digital matchmaking business, that we are in that business, and I was like. Thinking of all that, the matchmaking sites and the phenomenon of people, falling in love on a distance.
Yeah.
But it's true what you say. I mean, we need to be great relationship builders. Can you tell us a little about that?
Sure. So, I take this concept of the digital self, and it's not just individuals that have a digital self. It's a company. It's a product, it's a brand that has a digital self. So, I think of somebody like Nike. I can go to Nike and I can see their timeline on Facebook, and I can see where they were born. I can see how their products have evolved. I can see not just what their products do, but what people do with their products. I can see the causes that they're associated with, like Live Strong. I wear the Live Strong bracelet every day because it's important to me. And Nike is building a digital self for Nike and for those individual brands. And I think as consumers, we're getting very smart. What we want are relationships. We want relationships with companies, products, and brands that care about us and that care about the same things as us. And so it very much is a digital matchmaking business. Your digital self needs to like my digital self of my product or company or brand. those are concepts that work.
That's very interesting. John, I think that sometimes marketeers, they're so like into selling that the relationship doesn't matter. And what we notice in the local industry is that selling needs to be the consequence of a good relationship, and it goes so much with your concept of treating people like people and brands becoming more humanized.
Right. I think that's a great point. I mean, selling has to be a byproduct of a relationship. I think you said that very well.
Yeah, well, we'll learn that from you. Thank you so much. So, and finally, you shot an idea, and I think it was a great idea. You spoke about we have the relationship. We here are the people that we need to use data to generate value. I don't know if that's the words you were saying, but I felt it like a legacy, from your side.
Yeah.
And I think now there's an option of, there's so many options of data that I'm sure that we're losing a lot of opportunities by not just sitting there and analyzing things.
Yeah, I think we probably are, but we're starting.
Yeah.
And it's very exciting to be at a conference like this and see over 1,000 people that are in the room that are focused on this type of discipline, because big organizations, legacy organizations, don't understand this in some ways. Don't understand this as much as that digital marketing audience does in there.
Yeah.
And so that's when I say that this is our legacy. I mean, we are hatching an industry. We're still at the very early stages of a digital marketing industry, and we're the ones that understand the relationships that need to be created between the digital selves. Yeah. And so in a lot of ways it's our responsibility and our legacy.
So interesting. Well, the last thing is this is so interesting. What would you tell to marketeers that are addicted to urgency and that don't give themselves time to analyze data? Because it's something that happens all the time,
Sure.
Everything is urgent. Nothing matters because everything is urgent. And you see a lot of people with a lot of tools, paying the tools, and not giving themselves quality time to analyze.
Yeah.
How do you do that? What would you recommend us to do?
Yeah, and I think that's a symptom of how early the industry is. The reality is we're faced with a lot of pressures as marketers. We have bosses that have to hit quarterly numbers. We have clients, and we have to hit quarterly numbers. And so a lot of times we're pressured to do what makes a difference today and tomorrow. But as this industry matures, people will start to take a longer view. And they'll start to think more about relationships, and they'll think about lifetime value of customers rather than just return of campaign on today's campaign.
Wow, interesting. Thank you so much, John. How can people contact you if they want to know more about your content, and your Twitter account?
Absolutely, they can contact me at MellorTime on Twitter, and there's a big Adobe team in Mexico that would love to talk to them.
Thank you so much. Muchas gracias por vernos acá en IAB Conecta 2012. El segundo día empezó con una excelente presentación. No se desconecten, podrán ver todos estos contenidos en YouTube a través de Neurona Digital, powered by Cybercast.